I retired. I think I've told this story last year. I think I've told this story on the anniversary of April Fool's Day, at least every day that we're able to join you. I want to say that April Fool's Day was a Sunday last year. I think that's right, or Saturday or Sunday. I want to say it was on the weekends. But I could be confusing that with Groundhog Day. One way or the other, I do not. There are some that still try to do.
It was Saturday because this is leap year.
Yeah, there you go. See, I thought I was right. I don't try to do it anymore. I hit a high water mark in Birmingham, Alabama about 12 or 14 years ago. And I think what I did with our April Fool's Day joke years ago was actually kind of prophetic. Have I told you about the mayor's ordinance regarding the Birmingham Police Department that we talked about on April Fool's Day years ago?
Yes, but now you have to tell it again because you just teased it.
I do. So there was an issue involving the Birmingham Police Department where they had to take down some thugs that were doing thuggish things, and they had to do so in a fairly aggressive way. And it was argued, despite the fact that the police officer, the lead police officer in the takedown, was an African-American officer, it was still argued by attorneys for the perpetrators, the suspects in this case, that the takedown was as violent as it was because of the racial component to it. It was a black assailant or a black suspect. And so there was a lot of, tension bubbling to the surface, suggesting that the Birmingham Police Department was in some way treating black suspects differently than white suspects, and they were treating black suspects a little rougher than white suspects. So, with all of that atmosphere in the city of Birmingham bubbling about, on my morning radio show years ago, April 1st rolled around, and we announced that the mayor, at the time the mayor's name was William Bell, had issued an ordinance, an executive directive, I think is what we called it. That the mayor issued an executive directive or ordinance for all of the Birmingham Police Department. And here's what we said on April Fool's Day years ago that the ordinance proclaimed. That out of an abundance of, while the mayor's office, and I had written it out so it sounded really muckety-muck and official, but out of the mayor's office, if out of an abundance of caution, recognizing the tensions that existed in the city of Birmingham, the mayor's office declared that henceforth it was official policy on the part of the Birmingham Police Department that only black police officers would be allowed to arrest black suspects and only white police officers would be allowed to arrest white suspects. Now, with any April Fool's Day prank, I would suggest to you two things have to happen simultaneously in order to get a good prank off. Number one is that it has to be extreme and absurd. Well, that is extreme and absurd, suggesting that only white officers can arrest white suspects and only black officers can arrest black suspects. At least 15 years ago, the suggestion seemed absurd. And number two, and most importantly, despite the absurdity of the assertion, there has to be an underlying current of truth that people seize on. There has to be an underlying current of believability. And so people freaked out. We made this announcement on our morning show in Birmingham, some 12 or I don't know how many years ago. The years just kind of blend in. I think it was in the early 2010s. So 2010, 2011, 2013, sometime around in there. The city freaked out. People were blowing the phones up, and eventually people began blowing the mayor's phone up. So I knew that we had won. About an hour and a half into our bit, we got a telephone call from the Birmingham Police Department, from a deputy chief of the Birmingham Police Department, telling us to, as the kids say, shut it, Dean. Shut it down. Not tomorrow, not next week, not an hour from now. You shut it down right now.
Did you respectfully decline on First Amendment grounds?
I did not. I shut it down per the bosses of my radio station, who told me that they were in agreement with the city of Birmingham.
So that's completely different then.
Yeah, we got told to shut it down. Apparently, their phone lines were blowing up at a level that they just couldn't handle. So that was a big win for me. I considered that a high watermark, and I don't believe I'll ever get there again. And so I'm just giving it up because it's really not worth it. Not anymore. If you want to know what April Fool's Day, if you're younger and you want to know what April Fool's Day used to be like, just go on Twitter and read some of the posts. There you go. That's what April Fool's Day used to be like. Go read the Babylon Bee. Better yet, go read Not the Bee, which is Babylon Bee's version of telling true stories that sound like they made them up. Go look at Joe Biden's stupid proclamation about the transgender day. You know, I thought that. I thought, are they doing some sort of odd day early April Fool's Day prank with this transgender day of visibility? All right, first and foremost, I don't have anything against anybody. As long as you're living a life of your choosing and you're not harming other people and you're not trying to groom kids or whatever in this case, have at it. It's a free country. Let your freak flag fly. I don't expect that you will comport to my way of living, and I don't feel any need to comport to your way of living. What makes me sick to my core is your insistence that we, I would say the vast majority of American society, have to conform ourselves to the vast minority, the minuscule minority of the transgender community that make demands that all of society change the way that we've done things for these many years because you might be mildly uncomfortable with how something's done or it bothers you in some way. Let's take it back to, because I want to unpack all of this, folks, and how the hell did we get here? Let's take it all the way back to its, what I believe, beginning. Bathrooms. Barack Obama created this. Around the same time that they announced in 2009 that there would be, on March 31st, a transgender day of visibility. By now, there are over 100 days having to do with LGBTQ plus issues in the United States of America. There's an LGBTQ day of visibility, and there's an empowerment day for the lesbians, and an empowerment day for the bisexuals, an empowerment day for the queers. I'm using their terminology. An empowerment day for the transgenders, an empowerment day for the pluses, an empowerment day for the two-spirits, and on it goes. But back in the day in 2009, a lot of these days didn't exist, and they created this transgender day of visibility. And consistent with their belief that they needed to do certain things to make life more equitable for transgender people in the United States of America, a push came about during that time. Most of you probably remember it, where transgenders demanded that they be able to go into the bathrooms of their own choosing, and they still, to this day, demand it. And normal people said, you know what would probably be better, and you can live your life any way that you want. You can dress up any way that you want. That's up to you. Once again, I got nothing against you. I got nothing for you. I don't care. But nowadays, when I say that, people think that that's some sort of aggressive stance. It's not an aggressive stance at all. I genuinely do not care about you. I don't know you. Oh, but you're making me care. You demand that I care. That's the oddest thing about all of this. And so it was demanded that we change all of society just for them. For what was less than 1/4% of society. And now it's grown. And that tells you a lot about what you need to know about the movement itself. The idea that it has grown exponentially since the days of 2008, 2009 till today. So they demanded that it was not fair that they go into a bathroom consistent with the tools that God gave them. They demanded that they get to go into a bathroom of their choosing based on what they believe their gender to be. To which I said then, and I tell you now, you know what my rule is on this? It's pretty simple. You show me a little commitment, and I'll show you. If you've gone through all of the necessary surgeries and you've done what you need to do, you know what? Have at it, bro or ma'am, as the case may be. Until then, go to the bathroom that God assigned you to. But that wasn't enough. And so people that were trying to be level-headed, and I found myself among them, I said, well, okay, then let's just do a third bathroom. If it is this important to you, if you're so freaked out about all of this, just do if you've got to go number 1 or number 2, go in bathroom number 3. And everybody's happy. No, that was not enough, because now we're treating them like the other, and you're treating them like they're different. Here's a hot tip, Jack or Jane. You are. You're telling me, you're announcing to me that wires got crossed in your body. This is per you. I don't have anything to do with this. You're bringing this to me. You were born this way. You should have been born this way. But you simultaneously tell me that I'm not allowed to treat you any differently. Well, here's a hot tip. There's nothing that I could do or not do that's going to change the fact that you're different. Per you. Not per me. Per you. You're the one telling me. I'm not doing any. I'm just trying to mind my own damn business. Yet now I have to change the basic fabric of the way I live my life because you told me that you were not supposed to have a twig and 2 berries.
We actually have a third bathroom. We have a men's, we have a women's, and we have a handicap.
Now, like a ADA compliant.
Right.
Yeah.
So they exist already, and nobody seemed to get mad when we had to make a third bathroom for it to be ADA compliant.
Well, that's mostly, I find, well, I won't comment on it.
Can they not use that one and be perfectly?
I don't think the doors are big enough. Oh, you're talking about the ADA. Well,
no, I'm talking about
because
a transsexual.
They have created this dynamic where nothing's good enough for them except to do what they want to do. And your argument that you might go in there with little kids, they don't care. Your argument that pedophiles might use this as a way to get in there, they don't care. Although the mountain of evidence exists today that what we were saying back in 08 and 09 and 10 obviously has come to fruition. Pedophiles are absolutely doing that now. And that was our argument. They don't care about that argument because if I said, well, Bell made a good point. There's a men's room and a women's room, and if you're uncomfortable with those, and we would prefer that, you go into one of the gender of your birth, but there's a third bathroom. Oh, no, you're treating me like an other, and I'm not disabled, they would say. It's ridiculous.
But then wouldn't it be fair to say that we treat disabled people as an other because we gave them their own specific?
Bell, I'm telling you, we are not far away from a society that's going to demand that we start letting blind people drive cars. Because how dare you treat them differently based on their disability?
I want to laugh at that, but I can't because there's a grain of truth in there.
I mean, right? I'm not the one that's telling you there's a problem. You're telling me that there's a problem. And I don't know how you can be more visible than you are considering the amount of population that you represent. And so here's what I would say to all of you who are frustrated about yesterday. Love your neighbor. Follow God's teaching. It's why you're celebrating yesterday to begin with. But push back on this nonsense because that's just what it is. It's nonsense. They do not desire equality or even equity. They want to crush you if you think differently. They want to crush differences of opinion. Believe it or not, for all of you listening right now who are right there with me and applauding and going, yeah, Murphy, you go, Murphy. There are other people listening that want to destroy me because of the truth that I'm saying to you right now.